Namaste, Suprabhatam. A warm welcome to all our friends who have joined us this morning on the sixth day of the Global Festival of Yoga. Global Festival of Yoga is being organized by Indica Yoga, a platform of Indica Academy which offers authentic, immersive, and transformative yoga experiences in the form of courses, retreats, workshops, and so on. This is the second edition of the festival where we are focusing on three themes: healing, well-being, and wisdom. And today we have with us Shri Subba Vaidyanathan ji. Swagatam Subba ji.
Namaste, and very happy to be on this platform. I just love it. It's so well organized and so beautifully presented and so authentic.
Thank you so much, Subhaji, for joining us. Subhaji will be speaking on a very important topic of yoga, that is Ishwara-Pranidhana. In fact, it so happens that this morning session is Ishwara-Pranidhana and the evening session is the chanting of Mahamrutyunjaya mantra. So a whole day dedicated to Ishwara. Subhaji is a well-known name in the field of yoga. He is the founder of a top-rated wellness retreat center in Ubud, Bali, that is Being Sattva. He runs it along with his wife Renukaji. Subhaji has a basic training from engineering and business studies. So with that training, he is a banker. He had 3 decades of banker's experience and then become so wise that he knew where to invest. And he knew this is Adhyatma is the real field to invest. And then he moved into the area of the spiritual work. And he has been trained in the Vedas and the Upanishads from a childhood. And he even now continues to learn with various scholars in India. He has been practicing Mauna, silence, for last 15 years. And that's where all his inspiration comes from. And Yoga Sutra is one of the main topics that he's been studying and teaching, exploring further and further for last so many years. And now he'll be sharing his experiences, insights on Ishwara-Pranidhana, surrender is victory, which is a very important topic in the realm of healing. So with this brief introduction, now I request Subhaji to kindly lead us from here. Over to you, Subhaji.
Thank you very much, Ji. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Let us welcome all our divine masters and teachers into our presence here and now. So we may be guided in today's session by all of them. It is always a blessing to be able to present the message of the great saint and wisdom guru, Patanjali, on whose teachings is founded the practice which is followed today by more than 300 million people around the world, yoga. It is my life mission to be able to seed this wisdom into as many hearts and minds as possible. And in that context, other than be able to present the wisdom through talks, together with Renuka, my wife, we have been creating a musical. We hope to complete this over the next year or so that all of you can play the sutra as a musical wherever you are, whenever you want, even during the practice of yoga. So let me start today with an auspicious invocation to the Great Master. Set to music by youngsters from India. Amrit and Sushma featured very actively here. With that invocation to the Great Master, we begin our journey of today. Let me explain the map of today. I'll give you a brief overview of the text itself, very short introduction, so that there is some context setting, and then we will completely dive into the concept of Ishwara-Pranidhana. But I will push you a little bit today to be able to experience that from within, not just listen to my wisdom, but to be able to experience that from within yourself. Shravanam, and progressing from there, Mananam. Not just listening, but also taking it to heart and into your mind. So let's begin our journey. We heard the invocation to the Great Master. It is always beautiful to understand the author. You know, whenever we take a book these days, it says best-selling author, millions of copies sold, all of that, right? So that's why the invocation to a text of ancient wisdom always introduces the credentials of the author. And here, Patanjali, the great master, is introduced as someone who, through Mahabhashya, the great commentary on Panini's work of grammar Ashtadhyayi, has helped cleanse our speech. Through his work, Charakavartika, on Ayurveda, has given us the wisdom to cleanse our physical body. And through the Yoga Sutra, be able to cleanse our mind. So if you see and you connect the dots, it's the body, it's the speech, and it's the mind. All being cleansed by the great master through his work of wisdom. So now, what is the context of the text? It is important to understand that yoga was one of the 6 major schools of philosophy in the Indian subcontinent. And it is very closely associated with the Sankhya school of philosophy. But it sat alongside Vedanta, Memamsa, Vaisheshika, Nyaya, all of the major schools of philosophy. And as a major school of philosophy, the Sutra text lays out everything that the school of philosophy stands for. It is the primary text of the school. That is the context of the Yoga Sutras. It is the right for the Yoga school of philosophy to be able to sit on the same table as the other major schools of philosophy. The Sutra text, as many of you would know, has 196 sutras organized into 4 chapters. But the lesser known fact is that the sutras are presented now in 40 languages, 2 of which are non-Indian languages, one of which is Persian, and the other is Javanese. Maybe I could say that is why we chose Indonesia to be the home of being Sattva. So, with this as context, what is the core message of the Yoga school of philosophy? What embodies the school of philosophy of yoga? Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. This embodies, this sutra, which is the second sutra of the first chapter, embodies the philosophy of the yoga school. In this context, in the context of this sutra, yoga is a state of samadhi. It is a state of being fully immersed, where I have lost my manifest self, where I am fully connected with my source. I am established in my source. I don't feel separated from my source. And how do I get there? To the state of yoga? To bringing the vrittis, the waves of my chitta, the mind, to a state of nirodha. Nirodha is beyond sattva. It is a nirguna state, a colorless state, a crystal, where all colors are no longer kind of hiding the crystal itself, or pretending to be the crystal, if you will. So if this was the path laid out by the yoga school of philosophy. This is the core. What are the ways to get there? There are three paths laid out. Practice with non-attachment, Abhyasa Vairagya. Kriya Yoga for the intermediate practitioner, the three-step path of Tapas, Swadhyaya and Ishwara-Pranidhana. And the Ashtanga Yoga path for the early stage practitioner, the 8-step path. In a way, 2 steps for the advanced practitioner, 3 steps for the intermediate practitioner, and 8 steps for the early stage practitioner. But here's the beauty of what we're about to discuss today. Every one of those paths has Ishwara-Pranidhana. So when you take the advanced practitioner's path, Abhyasa Vairagya, you may argue, but there is no Ishwara-Pranidhana, Subbaji. But Ishwara-Pranidhana Tva is given in the first chapter, 23rd Sutra, as an option to Abhyasa Vairagya. And I'll talk about that in a bit. In the Kriya Yoga path, Ishwara-Pranidhana, Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishwara-Pranidhana is part of the Kriya Yoga path. In the Ashtanga Yoga path, under Niyamas, Ishwara-Pranidhana is included. So if you see this, while Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha is the core of the yoga school of philosophy, Ishwara-Pranidhana is the most important practice of the yoga school of philosophy. And this is a dramatic philosophical master stroke of the great saint Patanjali. Because Ishvara as a concept did not even exist as part of Sankhya. So let us now explore as to why this sutra comes about in the first chapter. Let us just step back and think about our lives. Each of us practices a certain profession. Maybe at home, if you're not practicing actively. And there are days when nothing works. Despite all our efforts, we seem to be for a period of time not making any progress. It happens to many sportsmen also, right? Same thing happens on the spiritual path also. So at that time, Patanjali gives an alternate practice. Because normally, there is a recent scientific study which was done which shows that people who practice meditation, some of them land up with mental health issues. You wonder how can meditation, which is supposed to be the healer of the mind, land people up in mental health issues? This is because if the practice is not working, they blame themselves that they are not good enough. There is something wrong with them. That is why the master stroke is Ishwara-Pranidhana. When things are not working, and you'll understand this, why this is so important, surrender to Ishvara. Let go, accept, whatever phrase we may use, surrender. Pranidhana. To who? To the divine, to the source, to the universe, Ishvara. This is the alternate. It is very, very important to understand the context of this. Who is practicing? Who is an Abhyasa Vairagya? The manifest self, the physical self, the self which, the energetic self, the mental self. The mind is also a manifestation. And as we are about to see, our current mind, including mine, has samskaras. A lot of things which I carry forward from this life and past lives. For those of us who don't believe in past life, it is still fine. It was given to me by my parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, and so on, or the communities that I live in, or the culture that I was brought up in. Smritis, memories from this life, and samskaras. Also about how I perceive the world, my vrittis, chitta vrittis, and also about my kleshas, the roots of how I perceive my mind-based action. All of these are what I bring, my mind stuff, I bring into my practice, my abhyasa, because I'm not yet fully there. Now, even if you may say, Subbaji, but I can cleanse that, no rajas, no active, no that kind of stuff, no dark forces like of tamas. I am now clean, I'm white. But white is still a color. It carries memories from this life and past life. It carries what in today's world we call biases, our past momentum. So, our practice cannot be perfect. Our non-attachment cannot be perfect. It is a journey. So when I set these milestones, it is from this imperfect self that I am practicing, and this imperfect self is what is setting these milestones. So there could be some things which are not perfect. This happens in business also, right? This happens in life also, right? So when all this is happening, things may not go because it has not been set right. So what is the alternate practice? Ishwara-Pranidhana. When things are not going because it's been set and practiced by an imperfect being, and this is the philosophical way, is very important to understand, there is an alternate path, Ishwara-Pranidhana. And in that moment of pranidhana, surrender, the mind, the ego mind is suspended. This is where I call it a victory. Because it's a victory, a jaya, over being shackled by our past. In that moment, we are open. Our mind is open, our heart is open to a new direction, to a new path. Rather than living that same cycle, it's called the vritti samskara chakram, not being stuck in the same old. Breakthrough. That is why the chakra view, which some of us know about from the battle of the Mahabharata, as a strategic tool where Arjuna's son was sacrificed or martyred rather. This is the breakthrough through the mental chakra view. Ishwara-Pranidhana. It is such a powerful concept because we suspend the ego in this moment. And it's so important to understand that we have to suspend the ego to get the breakthrough. So now the natural follow-up question is, but who is Ishvara and what is Pranidhana? How do I do this Pranidhana? So this is how Patanjali explains who is Ishvara. Klesha karma vipaka ashe aparamrishta. So kleshas, it's a topic in itself to be discussed, but are what are the roots of stress? Just think about it that way. One of the examples, for example, is given as attachment, raga. Being attached to something, hating something, being averse to something else, they are kleshas. And those, they drive choices in our mind, speech, and action. Karma, good things and bad things. We are being attached to those also. Even attached to the good things, right? Of doing good, doing a lot of good. And we're not attached to doing bad things, but you're just stuck in that cycle because we're not able to break through. All of us have those bad habits, right? Which we progressively are cleaning out. Vipaka, that which is cooking inside. All of these, and of course, ashaya, samskaras, as I said, past momentum. Ishvara is aparamrishta, untouched by these four. He is light, he is floating. He is not touched by any of these worldly things which bring him down. Bring us down, but don't bring him down. So he will lift us up as we just attached to him like a balloon, right? Purusha Vishesha, the special Purusha. That concept is a separate discussion, but simply understand that he's a Vishesha Purusha. This is Ishvara. This is one dimension of understanding Ishvara. You know, we in management science, we talk about, you have to describe what is your strategy, but what is not your strategy. This is what he's not. It says he's untouched by all this. Why? Because these four are what we are touched by. So it's easy for us to reference this and say, oh, so he's not like me. He's untouched by all these four, unlike me. It's a counter reference. That's why so beautifully the sutras are written. This is where you start. It's easy for you to understand everything that you're burdened with, and you say, hey, Ishvara is not touched by all this, huh? Easy for us to understand. The beauty of the text, the romance of the text. And then he says, now that you've understood what he is not, let me explain what he is. Niradishayam sarvajnana bijam. He cannot be limited. Niradashayam. He fills everything. It is like that balloon which is expanded and filled the whole universe. And in that balloon, which has filled the whole universe, exists, therefore, the knowledge of everything that is to be known, sarvajnana. And also the source of all knowledge, bijam, the seed. So in the context of this knowledge, everything that exists, all the intelligence that exists in the universe is what is Ishvara. because we relate to this. See, this is the way the master has written the text. If you think it's all about knowledge, well, Ishvara is the source of all knowledge and is all knowledge. So if you believe in the Vedas and it came from the source, here you are, Ishvara. So whatever is your belief set, whether you believe it's universe, whether you believe it's knowledge, whether it is you believe it's from the divine, whatever is your belief set, this sutra works. And then the question of time and the master. Purvesham api guru. The guru of gurus. All knowing and the source of all knowledge. There can be only one guru. The guru of gurus and the kala of kala. Because he exists even before time began. He is the one who got the yugas going, time going. So you see how beautifully Ishvara is described. A Vishesha Purusha, untouched by klesha, karma, vipaka and asha. The source of all knowledge and all knowing, sarvajnani, and the timeless. The kala of kala. So the concept is presented, as I said, as that of the universe, as you may call it, the divine, as you may understand and believe in it, or universal knowledge, jnana. Now comes the question, if this was Ishvara, how do I surrender to this Ishvara? What is my practice? Okay, Subbaji, I understand this. Now I have, my belief is such that I agree with you. Not with me, Patanjali. But now that I've bought into this, tell me, how do I practice Pranidhana? So the next 3 sutras is about this. First, simple. This is the essence of the essence. Tasya vachaka pranavaha. This great Ishvara, the Vishesha Purusha, his name is Pranava. Why? Go back and see the reference. The source of all knowledge, the beach of all knowledge, has to be the universal sound, Pranava. Om. That is where creation began. Om, time. And that holds all the knowledge. Om. That which is untouched by everything that goes on. Om. Tasya vachaka pranava. Simple. If that is how I call it, what is the process of surrender? Tat japas tadhartha bhavanam. By repeatedly chanting japa, We start with chanting loudly, then we chant softly, then we chant silently. But all the time, understanding the artha, the meaning of this, that I am, through this chanting, beckoning this Vishesha Purusha, this Sarvajnani, this Kala of Kalas, and surrendering to this universal knowledge, which is not yet exposed to me because many of my smritis and samskaras, my past memories and momentum, is blocking me from this knowledge. By repeatedly chanting, they are all getting dissolved, so that more and more of this knowledge is coming into me and dissolving any darkness within me. And progressively, I am able to get to experience bhavana, the true meaning, because experiences can never be explained. That is why the progression is from japa to artha to bhavana. The world's, and you look at your own life, your most beautiful experiences in your life can never be explained in words. Words are always limiting. It can only be experienced truly within, that which cannot be explained. This is the process of surrender. Tat japas tadartha bhavana. Japa what? Pranava. Om. That is it. You've seen, right? In whenever people find they find challenging circumstances they're presented with, they feel very exhausted in body or mind, or they beckon the name of the divine. Patanjali tells us, beckon the name of the Vishesha Purusha, the Sarvajnani, the Kala of Kalas, by just chanting Om. First loudly, then softly, then silently, and then just experience the Purusha, the Vishesha Purusha being present there. Through this, what happens? Pratyak Chetanadhigamo Abhyantaraya Bhavascha. The antarayas, which will be described later in the sutras, all the things that come in the way of your practice, in body or mind, are immediately dissolved. Abhava. And you're able to have the consciousness, the experience of the consciousness, chetana, the awareness come up within you. Simple practice, right? So beautifully explained step by step. Ishwara-Pranidhana. Just chanting of the pranava mantra or Om loudly, repetitively, then softly, knowing what its meaning and significance is. And then being able to experience, just be in the presence of that sound. What is that sound? It is the manifestation of the Vishesha Purusha, of Ishvara. And through that, what happens? Your antarayas, which are all based on your ego mind, in that moment get dissolved. Knowledge floods into you. And you're able to progress on your path. Darkness being dissolved. Let us experience this now before I take you forward into how you can bring this into your life. So first I will chant all these sutras, after which, so you can see it in various scripts. I wanted to show also that it's present in various scripts. After which I will explain about why I call this a victory. This surrender, pranidhana, is true victory. Ishwara-Pranidhanatva Kesha-karma vibhakashaye aparamrishta Purusha-vishesha Ishvara Tatra Niradishayam Sarvatnya Bijam Sa esha purveshamapi guru kalena navacchetat tasya vachaka pranavah tajavastathartha bhavanam tata pratyaksheta gamo abhyantaraya bhavascha. Those were the sutras. And now we will just experience the japa, artha and bhavana. Please chant wherever you are. Softly. Connecting with the meaning, the artha, being the name of the Vishesha Purusha. Even more softer. Allowing that sound now, the sound of the pranava mantra, to fill our body, our physical body. every breath of ours, every thought and emotion of ours, every question of ours, every answer of ours. Just for a few moments, everything is just the pranava, the O. In this moment, there are no questions, no answers, no problems, no solutions. Just complete surrender to the Ishvara, to the divine, to the universe. Om Shanti. Why is this surrender a victory? Let us talk about this very functionally in the context of our daily lives. There are certain things which are beyond our ability to solve in the way we think in the moment. Because the way we think drives what we say and what we do. That is mostly based on our past pattern cycles. Suspending that for some time is what opens our mind to new possibilities. This is a very functional layer I'm speaking about. The same thing happens even in the context of a business, an organization, whether it is for profit or not for profit. New ways of thinking come only when we are willing to let go of the past. But that is very functional. Now take the metaphor, take this to the level of spirituality. The metaphor is that of a fort. Inside the fort is a beautiful city, heaven, where people are living at peace, with joy, driven by wisdom, sharing, caring, all of that. Outside that city, outside the fort, there is a battle on. When there is a battle happening, what do they do to the fort? They shut it. What is the battle on the outside? The battle is not just physical. In the mind. In fact, there is nobody else. The battle is happening inside our mind. Because there are many minds out there. So it could be with very manifest beings, physical forms fighting each other, or it can be minds fighting each other, or the mind inside itself fighting. Unless the surrender happens of this mind and says, okay, this is a stop, the fort is not going to open. Only when the fort opens can we experience our consciousness, our divinity. that which exists within us. That is stepping into that fort, that beautiful city. That is yoga. Inside that is the state of yoga. Everyone is in a state of yoga. And the doors to that will open only when the battle on the outside is stopped. That is the ultimate destination. This is why surrender is victory. Functionally, surrendering to your past habits, stopping them, that is your victory. That is your jaya over the past. Being able to have the freedom to live. Truly having the freedom to make choices, not just living in the past. There is no freedom in that. And then spiritual freedom comes when you're able to convert that functional freedom progressively into accepting that the ego mind is a limiting mind. And by surrendering to Ishvara, the universal knowledge, the source, the universe, the Vishesha Purusha, that is how we are able to shift our being physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. This is our August 15th, truly, our Independence Day, or July 4th, depending on which part of the world you live in, or August 9th if you're in Singapore. Whichever part of the world you live in, this is what it is. This is your day of victory, of freedom, of liberation. I will just pause here and take questions. I hope you enjoyed the journey through Ishwara-Pranidhana and got some insights on how you can use this in your everyday. I will leave you with one thought. After this session, what can you do? When you suspend the ego mind and the Vishesha Purusha is present, write your intention. Whether it's for your life, just for that moment, whatever problem you're facing, what is your intention? Your intended outcome. Trust me, it will be from the source. It is the divine writing the intention for you. Once you write that down, it will manifest in your life. Try it after this session. Namaste.
Namaste, Subbaji. Thank you for leading us to the fort, the safe zone, the anchoring space, and the space to celebrate the victory. So thank you very much. We have a couple of questions. We'll start with them. We have two questions related to the pronunciation of or chanting of Om, because we thought about it, tasya vachakaha pranavaha tajapaha tadartha bhavanam. So what should be the duration for which one needs to chant it? And there are also various ways of chanting it. Ma as separate syllables or Om as one. So your thoughts on the chanting practice?
So, all of us enjoy eating delicious recipes. The recipe for the Om has A, U, and Ma. But when we eat Om, we eat it as Om. And when we experience it as divinity. So that is the metaphor with which I would present this answer to you. So you can say it as A, U, and Ma, and then combine them. So you can say A, U, can just say it as Om. Now, in terms of proportionality, the makara, it is 1:1:2. So the makara is always twice as long as the akara and the ukara. So you will, through your practice, be able to experience that sound of makara for longer, because that's when the invocation truly happens. So the way you do it is, after you inhale softly, when you feel you have run out of breath, start the makara, and it will carry on softly. So it should be done like in musical terms, in Western musical, classical musical terms, it has to be done like a legato, not like a staccato. So it has to flow that way. So you use your navel to take in the navel towards the spine so that the sound comes out smoothly. In terms of repetition, I would say use multiples of 9, and depends on however long you want to chant it, 9, 18, 27, 36. So you can use that. So if you're using 9, I would say 3 loudly, 3 softly, and 3 silent. So if you're doing 18, 6, 6, and 6, 27, 9, 9, and 9, and so on and so forth.
Any particular reason in choosing 9, the multiples of 9?
9 is a spiritual number. 9 is the number which is the highest single digit number. 9 is any multiple of 9 is also 9. It adds up to 9.
Interesting.
So it is a very unique number. That's why I always recommend the usage of 9. When we see the popular 108 repetitions also adds up to 9 and is a 12th multiple of 9.
Wonderful. Subhaji, there are a lot of compliments coming your way. Your each word was so beautiful and thoughtful, sir. Pristine, divine experience. So after mentioning that, Simaji is also asking, when we practice japa after few times, after some time, it becomes mechanical and thoughts start floating away. How do we manage this situation?
So this is a very important question, Simaji. Thank you very much for asking this. So if you understand the prescription of the great master, it is japa, artha, and bhavana. All three have to be an integral part of any chanting practice. So if it is pure japa, after a while it just comes by rote, and the mind is not being occupied anymore because we already know it, we just keep repeating it. The mind has already gone somewhere else. This is why a japa practice has to be integrated with an artha practice, because you should know the meaning of what I'm chanting. And when I connect with the meaning, I will automatically, as a next step, experience it within me. Experience the meaning in my mind and in my heart. So consciously, now to answer Seemaji's specific question, whenever the mind is getting distracted, write down before you start your japa practice, what is the artha you would like to connect with for the day? And the moment you understand that artha that you want to connect with, so today, my artha for Om is the Kala of Kalas. Today, my artha for Om is Sarvajnani. The moment I write that down, every time my mind is getting distracted, I switch back to this meaning and what I'm connecting with. So use the artha. So even if you're doing any of our other chant, let us say you're doing a Vishnu Sahasranama chant or Mrityunjaya mantra chant, always write down the artha and what aspect of the artha you wish to connect with for today's chanting practice. So whenever you get distracted, bring the artha will bring you back. Write it down in front of
True. I think this is a very helpful practical tip which people can try out. In fact, you can try out this evening itself when we are going to do the Mahamrityunjaya Japa. Thank you very much, Subhaji. There's one last question I'd like to take up. Uh, Japa is normally associated with sitting and doing it. But does it have to be like that? This is a question from Alkaji. Well, we are doing some other work, if you're walking or engaged in any other responsibility, can we still continue with the japa? Can we do it there also?
Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi has answered this question wonderfully in his work in Upadesha Sara. Mm-hmm. So he says, japa is better than not doing japa. Experiencing artha is better than just doing japa. Experiencing meditation or dhyana, which is on the artha, is better than artha and japa. So it's a question of, today I don't have the time to do the japa artha bhavana practice. Can I do the japa practice? Today my body is feeling very restless. There is too much rajas inside. I need to clear it up, so I need to walk. Therefore, can I integrate it with my japa practice? By all means. So it depends on what is the objective of your practice for the day. So I think you understand what I mean, right? So
yes.
So I used to run marathons, and in marathon running, we say once a week, do the long run, 12K, 20K, whatever you do. So once a week, at least, please do the japa artha bhavana practice. The other days, do the short practice, just do the japa or the japa and artha. Right? I hope that helps.
Yes. Thank you, Subhaji. So maybe I'm also tempted to ask you one last question. For many years, you have been engaging in the Mauna sadhana for yourself. How do you see it helping you in your growth, or why did you start and how is it going on?
So I started in 2004 with just observing, and I always observe it in solitude. I don't go into any other place. I just stay with myself. Sometimes I walk into nature, but otherwise just with myself. And the reason why I started this journey was that we have so many of stimulation going on. We have information overload from the outside. But are we giving quality time to process what is on the inside? So I give a very simple principle. I say for those 5 days, I am my best friend. I am taking a vacation with my best friend, which is myself. And my experience on this is that silence leads to stillness. There are so many questions running in our head. There is so much we think we need to do. But as all this settles down, it takes at least 2 days for all of this to settle down, then the true clarity will emerge. Clarity of what? Clarity at that moment of what are the underlying questions and underlying samskaras or fears that you are dealing with. Now, how does it help me? Every year, I am able to break through one fear, one block. Every year, I am able to set my intentions for the next year from a point of silence, not from a point of noise, from a point of stillness. And also, I always use pranava mantra. So from a point of view of knowledge, some level of enlightenment. So every year when I look back, I have progressed one step at every year. So that is, I think, the value of that silence. It helps me understand myself better. It helps me, therefore, able to walk the path with more enlightenment than I had. So I give an example to everyone saying that every year, my aim is to be better than the previous year. That's it. So how, in what way can I do, say, and think better than my previous year? That's
Mhm.
what helps me.
I think this should be the constant reminder for all of us. How can I be better than what I was?
Right?
Yeah. Thank you, Subhaji, for sharing your journey with us. I'll just take a moment to announce the evening session and get back to you. Kotiji, can you please display us the evening session? This evening, we have a session with Srimati Shantala Sriramaya ji, who is a teacher based in Belgium. She'll be taking us through a session on Mahamrityunjaya, the great death conquering mantra. She'll lead us initially with the explanation and the meaning, followed by japa for 108 times. It's so beautiful the way it's emerging. We had a session 2 days back on mantra and bhavana. So we looked into bhavana, we looked into how mantra is utilized, and this morning we saw about japa, we understood how the concept of Ishvara. So for this evening session, we'll be combining all these aspects into the japa of Mahamrityunjaya mantra. So I request all of you to join us for these sessions and also continue this month-long journey with us. And just to remind all of you that all these sessions are being recorded and they are made available on Indica Yoga YouTube channel, on Indica Yoga website, and our social media platforms too. So you might want to go back to these sessions once again, or in case you have missed it, you can make use of it. And once again, I would like to request, because we have such wonderful teachers who are coming on this platform and sharing so generously. Please inform others, invite others who might be interested in all these uh, aspects, and allow this community to become as large as possible. So with this, I get back to Supaji. Supaji, you have been teaching, you have been conducting prayer sessions, and just in last few months itself, continuously every day you have been having these short sessions. So there are many ways that you are actually sharing your knowledge. How can people follow you, connect with your work? What are the means?
So one is on Instagram. Um, I just posted the link. You can 1 minute. So two links I have posted. Instagram being with Subba. All of you can follow me. Very simple. The second is I have a link called Bit. If you register for Calm in Chaos 100, every Sunday, and sometimes like in the last 2 weeks, we've been running the yoga, Seeds of Yoga practice. We ran a Chant for India practice for 45 days. We ran 108-day meditation practice. So if you register, these are all free practices, which will be available to you. You will get the notification whenever we're running free sessions, and you can join. So, and you will also receive from time to time anything which is free will be offered to you through this community. So we run a global community across 10 countries, and we gather at least every Sunday. Minimally, if there is nothing else going on, every Sunday there will be a gathering of all of us. So thank you very much, Vinayji, for that question.
Thank you, Subhaji. And one last thing, if I may ask, what is the message for the day that you would want to leave our participants with?
So the message for the day is that we all live our life every day the same way. I just want us to think about how can I be 1% better today than yesterday? And what do I need to do today to be 1% better tomorrow than today? If we just live life thinking, can I be 1% better today? We will be kind to ourselves, and we will also be honest in making sure that we make progress. Secondly, is that there is no hiding from Ishvara. So everything that we think, everything that we say, everything that we do is witnessed by the universe. So let us live life as an instrument of the universe rather than an instrument of our ego.
Thank you, Subbaji.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vinayji. Thank you
for joining us and also sparing your time. We understand these are some difficult moments in your life and also intense moments, yet you choose to be with us on this hour. Thank you very much, and we are grateful. And many thanks to all our participants who have joined us. Wishing all of you a good day, good night, or a good evening from wherever you are. Namaste.
Namaste. Om Shanti.